Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in 1 minute. I want to let you know that we'll be recording today's session so that people who are unable to join us today will be able to see the presentation. We'll get started in 1 minute. People are still joining. All right, we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Elisa Velardo, Deputy Commissioner of DDS. As I mentioned, we're recording today's session so that people that are not able to join us this afternoon will be able to view the presentation at a later date. Can you see the screen? Great. This is the agenda of today's forum. This is the second of our 4th Tuesday forums on innovative options. And our topic today is individualized home supports. We have presenters from DDS that'll share a little bit about individualized home supports and the options that are available, the variations under IHS. And then we have some presenters that are actually participating in IHS services. We have a presentation from a parent that has recently supported her daughter to move into IHS services, and then providers that are providing IHS services. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Cheryl Kemp and Patricia Simbola that are going to speak a little bit about IHS.
Patricia? Are you there?
I'm here. I'm just not able to unmute. These admin things keep coming. Okay, admitting. Hi, everyone. How are you? We're here to talk about IHS. What is individualized housing supports? There's supports that are customized packages of services and supports that best meet the needs, goals, and preferences of individuals to live in the community in a home that they choose to live in. They're designed by and for people with intellectual disabilities and families and guardians and friends. They are the ones that customize these packages of services. These services and supports may be delivered in a family or an individual's own home. They're provided either by private agencies or can be self-directed, where employees are hired by the individuals and his or her legal representatives. IHS used to be known as supported living services. Individuals who self-direct their own supports are required to use a fiscal intermediary to assure appropriate payment, reimbursement, and overall fiscal accountability.
Okay, this slide in front of you right now has a list of the overview of IHS variations. IHS individual home supports are intermittent supports. They are not 24-hour supports. It could be anywhere from 4 hours up to 48 hours, depending upon the person's LON score and their needs. IHS is again intermittent support, so it is not something 24-hour, but we have increased some of the backup plans that we have under some of these other categories of supports that you'll see as we go through this. Next slide, I think. Group IHS supports were designed to allow an agency to bill when they take 2 to 3 people out into the community together. Because IHS supports typically are one-on-one, face-to-face supports, that's the rule of use of IHS supports, that it is one-on-one. This group rate now allows people to have one staff take out 2 to 3 individuals. Perhaps they're going in the same direction to a store to shop, and they don't need to have 3 staff with them if there are 3 individuals there. So this allows for that group activity to occur. And it could also be for social reasons. It could be to access the community for fun activities where they don't need that one-on-one intense support. But it is a way to kind of consolidate and allow for social interaction. That's the purpose of that group. This one's yours, Patricia.
IHS with technology. Use of person-centered assistive technology. All assistive technology is person-centered, and it is used by the individual or in their environment to optimize independence. So an example of using in their environment would be if someone was deaf or hard of hearing, a strobe light for a smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector. It is not to be confused with remote supports.
That's technology slide.
This is
Can you see clustered IHS?
No. Looking
Oh,
for that.
Oh. Okay. Well, okay, so can you see now? Clustered IHS supports. One-on-one in-person support within a proximity to others receiving IHS supports with dedicated overnight staff available 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Cheryl?
Just that the overnight supports are within walking distance of these housing or units that are in close proximity. So that's something that has an on-call, if you will, component, so that if an individual needs some help during the night, they're able to access staffing through that avenue.
Can you see this? Cheryl?
Yes. Supported housing, isn't that yours?
No, actually, that's yours.
Okay. Supported housing is a topic that I believe was discussed last month. If you were able to access that, that was a really wonderful presentation, and it is recorded, so you should see that if you haven't accessed that service that was highlighted last month with some examples. But it is one-on-one in-person supports in a clustered setting with the overnight staff again, but it is a service that an agency works with a developer to set up in a complex that has an affordable tax credit afforded to it and funded. And this is a project-based rental assistance. So this is not, this is something that is kind of all inclusive. The rental assistance comes with the property, and a provider partners with the developer to set up these housing units and support it.
Remote supports, IHS supports combined with planned virtual supports have a capacity for live two-way communications. It is also a scheduled service.
And this service requires that there is a technological component to it. The others don't require it. However, technology can be used in any setting and should be when it is to the advantage of the individuals and the agency. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl and Patricia. So that gives you an overview of different variations of individualized home supports. And I think that'll become more clear as we hear some of the examples and hear from some of the people that are currently receiving IHS services and providing IHS services. And so at the end, we'll field any questions. We're going to go through the presentations and then we will hold all questions until the end. So next I'd like to introduce Catherine Wood from Midstate ARC. Kat, are you with us?
Hi, how are you? I am here. I was just trying to see if I could get my camera on, but it's not allowing me to. I don't know if you guys.
Oh, I see you.
Okay, perfect.
Can you see me?
I can. And is Michelle there with you?
She is.
Terrific.
So,
welcome.
Thank you very much. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine Wood, better known as Kat. I'm the Director of Community Integration for Midstate ARC. And with me, I have Michelle Bell.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bell. I'm the self-advocate coordinator here. I do IHS, I'm in IHS supports.
So Michelle and I are going to spend a little bit of time just talking about the individual home supports, both independent living as well as in the cluster, and just kind of what it means. And I think when Michelle has the opportunity to talk, she could really give a little more background as to how it benefits her in her day-to-day living. So individualized home supports. I mean, I think the first word really hones in on what it is and how it's beneficial, and that's that it's individualized. So it's really specific to the needs of the person receiving the supports. You know, whether that means it's goals that are worked on in the home or it's goals that are worked on in community, either way, you're working towards the goal of becoming more independent, which is something that every family is hoping for their loved one, and every individual is really looking forward to accomplishing for themselves. You know, it's really the direction that we're going into, and there's just, you know, so much benefits, you know, not only for the person, for themselves, but also their placement in the community. When we talk about independent living, you know, everybody deserves to be able to live independent in their environment if they're able to. And some people, independent can mean still living in the family home, but being able to be an active participant in their family home. Or for others, it may mean moving out into an apartment on their own in the community, or moving into a cluster complex, you know, which is still in the community, but with a little more support than living completely independent on their own. You know, it really provides an opportunity for people to live a fulfilling life. With the cluster, you know, as Patricia and Cheryl were talking about earlier, the cluster is, you know, it has this third shift support that's there, you know, in case of an emergency, and they're able to monitor, you know, the different apartments with the use of technology. And it's limited staffing support in that, depending on what someone's level of need is, kind of gauges how many hours they have available to them to be able to receive face-to-face support. Now, though the face-to-face support may be limited, there's still the technology that's in the provides the needed support for someone to be able to remain living independently or help aid in gaining the knowledge to become more independent on their own. You know, in the cluster setting, just to talk about some of the different technology that we use in there, we have something that we call the wellness system. And the wellness system is based off of sensors. So we have different sensors that are kind of placed throughout the apartment, such as the front door, the bathroom door, you know, it could be on cabinets, windows, there's bed sensors, and then in the living room, a motion detector. So there's no cameras, but with these sensors, you know, the sensors are able to gauge, you know, somebody's daily activities, right? So we're going to know if somebody's moving around and up at certain hours during the day, and if things are happening that are what we would consider not normal, outside of like normal hours of movement or normal hours of, you know, going in and out of the apartment, we would receive alerts. And by those alerts, we're able to connect with the person that's living in their apartment and ask them if everything's okay or if they need help with something. We also have what we call the big red button. So it's just a round button that's placed somewhere in the apartment. A lot of times it's in the bathroom, because the bathroom is one of those places that if something were to happen, it's a little bit harder for people to, you know, get to them or know right away that there's an emergency. And all they have to do is press the button. And by pressing that button, we automatically receive an alert, and we're able to contact or check on the person to make sure that everything is okay and get them the support that they need. We also have in the apartments what we call our cook stop. The cook stop is linked to the oven. So if somebody were to start cooking, they would press the button that would, you know, let the oven know like that the oven's on and they're cooking. If they were to step away from the oven, because there's no motion detected anymore, it would automatically start a timer. After 5 minutes, if the person did not come back to start cooking again, the oven would shut off. This helps from anything burning, stopping any fires, and it's really just another way of aiding for someone to be able to be as independent as possible, doing something like cooking. It's like these little things that we take for granted that we do every single day, that somebody that's just stepping into independence is learning and needs the extra support sometimes to be able to do these things independently on their own. We also have in a lot of our units what we call our Claris Companion, and it's what it is. It's a tablet, and it has an app on it that's called your Claris app. And with this app, we're able to provide virtual supports to somebody who's living independently. Because again, with that independent, we want to give them the space and opportunity to do things and not have to rely on someone being in there with them, you know, during all waking hours, face to face, invading their space when they're so excited to have this space to themselves. But we're able to virtually kind of be there and help them with questions that they may have, or, you know, sometimes it's just a visit because, you know, like any of us, we look for companionship and sometimes we get a little lonely, and it's nice to be able to have somebody to chat with for a little while and then be able to stop it as soon as we're done and we want to just go back to our, you know, our regular schedule of watching TV, listening to music, and just enjoying our space. We also have, you know, in a lot of our units, over our cluster, we have what we call the door lock, and the door lock system is absolutely amazing because it's, you know, you have the option of being able to put in a few different ways to be able to get into your apartment. You know, we have a lot of people use the key fob, but in the event that the key fob were to be lost, we have backup systems. So we have fingerprints, and then we have special codes that everybody has so that they could get into their apartment. Because as we all know, things happen. And I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I have locked myself out of the house so many times. And so being able to have something in place, you know, where you could have multiple different ways to get into your home is a sense of relief for anybody. And again, you're helping, aiding someone to be able to be independent and live on their own. There's just so much when it comes to assistive technology. I could go on and on and on forever about the different, you know, means of it. But also, you know, when someone's looking at living independently, there's assessments that are done. And with these assessments that are done with the individual and their loved ones and team members, you know, we're able to really figure out what other technology potentially that could be put into place to help somebody be successful with living out on their own. I wanted to also give Michelle some time to kind of talk about, you know, her IHS services and the technology that she's used that's really helped her be successful with living independently on her own. You want to go ahead?
Yeah.
All right. Need some help? Here, we'll just flip it this way.
Some of the benefits that I get from IHS. IHS has helped me with taking public transportation.
Which is a huge one for you, right?
Right.
To be able to get out and about on your own.
To be able to be independent. And ARC and I called the Kennedy Center Incorporated Mobility Services.
Yep.
And here's the phone number.
Yeah, and we could share the information to the Kennedy Center, you know, if anyone does require it. But just to kind of talk about it a little bit, that was just, it's a means of being able to transportation.
It's a travel training, which is a nationally acclaimed program that teaches people with disabilities, seniors, how to properly and safely use the local bus and rail system on a one-to-one basis. The service is free.
Yeah. And what else do you use for transportation?
I use Lyft. My staff and I, she helped me put the app on my phone. And now I take it anywhere. I take it to work. I take it to my friend's house. I've taken it grocery shopping when my staff was on vacation.
Yeah. And I think that's one of those big things when Michelle talks about, you know, Lyft and the app on her phone, like we hear so often everyone say like, I don't know anything about technology. I've never used it. And I think people forget that we use technology every single day without even realizing it. Our cell phones being like the biggest piece of it. We use it to communicate with people. We use it to get transportation. We use it for banking, for paying for things, for alarms. And it's another piece of that assistive technology.
For
ordering food, which is important. Yeah. But it's another big piece of that independence and helping someone, you know, be successful when they're out there on their own and not having to rely so much on the staff, right?
Yes.
And what else do we have? Go back to the Lyft. Well, we did the Lyft already. We talked about Lyft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IHS staff have helped me with being safe in the community by giving me the support I need to help handle different situations. For example, like being alone, like not being alone at the bus station. Always sit around people. If something happens, because I've been in situations where something happened, and my staff told me to always sit with people.
Yeah.
This brings me to another good thing about IHS assistive technology, adaptive equipment. I have a Bella. I press the button for help, and someone will come on and ask me for help if I need help. Like if I need the police or the fire department, or if I get lost.
Yep. You want to show them what Bella looks like?
Yep, I'm going to show you.
So it's, you know, it's a small little box, and it has a button on the front that she's able to press if she's ever in need of any assistance. And it also has a GPS on it. So just in case she was ever somewhere and, you know, confused or not sure where she was, the GPS would be able to help locate her. And again, helping you be independent and out in the community, maneuvering around safely.
That's me having to be in a group home. I can still live safely in my own apartment.
Absolutely.
And be out in the community.
What else do you have? Your Alexa, right?
I also have an Alexa at home and at work. Alexa at home gives me reminders to do my chores, to take a shower. But she also plays music if I ask her to.
She does. Can I turn the next page?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Alexa is another piece of assistive technology equipment. She talked.
As we're talking about her.
IHS staff helped me hook it up, Well, actually, they came out, the people from the technology center, to help me hook it up. And they explained how to use it. I also use assistive technology and adaptive equipment at my job here at Midstate Art. I have Alexa in my office. She gives me reminders. If I have any meetings, I tell her, she'll remind me. And she reminds me to get my newsletter out. I tell her to remind me to get my newsletter out.
How about your keyboard?
I have an easy keyboard. It's in alphabetical order. Makes it a little easier for me to type. Being independent at home and in the community makes me very happy. I feel very happy every day. Every day, Jolene and I work on little things to help me meet my goal and her goal of not needing a staff anymore. I'm working on not needing a staff anymore.
That's a great goal, Michelle. And it's
So I can
definitely
be
a goal
independent.
that you could get to.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to share with everyone?
We also do cooking.
Yeah.
We do a lot of fun things, like go to the casino.
Yeah.
We went to the casino for my birthday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're gonna plan a trip to Black Island.
And those are all great things that she's able to do, right? With the support of your IHS worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's as well as working, the support staff working with the individuals to be able to work on their goals and help them find the tools to be able to be more independent, right? Because the staff aren't there to do everything for them. They're there to help them find tools to be able to become more independent and successful. And that's really the big benefit of IHS services, right?
Yeah.
And then, the benefits of the assistive technology, like Michelle said, to help her be able to become more independent, with the goal being to, slowly but surely really start weaning the staffing supports out and really just rely on that assistive technology.
I also have a son.
You do have a son.
He has hydrocephalus, that is water on the brain. He's in a wheelchair, and I'm learning to take care of him all over again. He eats by G-tube. I'm learning to feed him again by the G-tube. How to dress him.
Good job, Michelle.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
It absolutely is.
I love being a mom. You said, woo!
I want to thank you so much, Kat. Thank you for your just explaining what IHS is and integrating technology with the IHS. But Michelle, most of all, thank you, because first of all, you've given me some ideas as far as how I can use technology more in my home. But you really paint a picture of what the supports look like and how they're helping you in terms of independence. So thank you for taking the time and sharing a little bit about your life and the supports you have in place and the use of technology. And you gave a little preview, because we're doing these forums once a month, and next month's forum is on assistive technology. So you gave a little like a little preview as far as some of the things we can dig into more next month. And it's really great to hear all of the things you're using as far as promoting independence. And you even mentioned technology and employment is another one of the forums that we're going to be speaking about, and how technology can be used in employment. So thank you. You touched on so many key points that are the focus of these forums.
I've also learned how to speak up for myself. My staff taught me how to speak up for myself, how to make my own appointments. I have a daily planner. I put them in there.
Very good.
I think you've really structured your home in a way that that many of us can, I think, learn from. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
And I hope you'll stick around because I know that there are going to be questions for both of you at the end. Next, I want to introduce Joe Drexler and Isarenda McCorkle from RMS. Joe and Isarenda, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. You're going to speak a little bit about IHS services that folks that you're supporting at RMS are receiving.
Yes. Joe was going to go first.
Joe, are you here? I think I saw him in the participants. Kevin, is Joe able to present?
If he speaks up, I can make him presenter, but I don't see what we're looking for.
Yes. I could just go ahead and speak then, and then he can. Let me just text him now.
All right.
Okay. So in my IHS program, we have a couple of different. We have a cluster program. We have a building in Meriden that houses about 9 of our individuals. There were some couples, married couples, that were in the program. So it's really nice to see the difference between a married couple actually being able to go through this stage in their life where they'll be able to receive services. Sometimes they receive it separately, and sometimes they they may go to the grocery store together, but a lot of times, they have their one-to-one time as well, separately from doing things together as a family. So that's really nice to see. We have a young mother in our program who she lives in one of our. We have a landlord who basically opened a 3-family. She had a 3-family. They bought the 3-family home, and we were able to actually rent out each of the 3 families to one of our individuals. So so we have different various ages in that 3-family home, where we have a mother who has a 1-year-old baby. She's about to be 2, and just seeing the growth of her succession of coming from her own, from her living with her sister, to almost, at the time when we took her, she was almost going to be homeless because her sister was moving down south, and then being able to live in her own home and still in the same token support her baby, and going through the pregnancy with her, going and her eventually having her baby, and then the progression of the baby being with us currently. She's not the baby's not in our program, but we support the mom and help her take care of the things that she needs to do, like reminding her about appointments as necessary for the growth of her child, and then just moving on. We have my home, my programs actually, we're like all over Connecticut. So I have some people in Meriden, I have some folks in Shelton, and I have a Hartford person. And the Hartford person, he actually just moved out of his parents' home as well. We just had his IEP, and he just just raves about being able to come home after a long day's work. He calls it a long day's work. He works about 6 hours, and he's like, I just love coming into my own apartment and just being able to you know, just relax and not being able, you know, not having, you know, his mom there or his dad there, or, you know, roommates. So, you know, some people may live with a roommate, but he actually loves the fact that he's able to come home to a quiet, peaceful home. Some of our individuals have pets. So it's just nice to see them being able to support their animals as well, because, you know, our furry friends become our children, for a lot of the folks. And, you know, just being able to see them, you know, to have a little kitten or a little puppy and being able to support their animals and do the things that's meant for them, to making sure that, you know, budgeting the money to take them to go get neutered, or, you know, their regular appointments, and being able to budget that also into their to their lifestyle as well. So it's a great pleasure to see that. And then we also have some older folks who, this is my Shelton area, who, you know, now they live in what they call senior housing. So everything's on the one level, and it's an apartment that's a little bit smaller, but being able to see them still fulfill their ability, or, you know, just their want to be able to live on their own. And then, you know, they all join up together at times, and, you know, they meet up for coffee or they meet up for lunch. They have separate staff that they travel with, but that allows them or affords them the ability to be able to go out in the community safely, which, you know, if they wouldn't be able to go on their own, but they have a staff member to assist them and take them places, to doctor's appointments and things that they're able to do safely. You know, we do have individuals who takes Uber to get to work, which is, you know, great to see that, because, you know, coming from some areas in our state doesn't have public transportation. So to be able to utilize the Uber, it's, you know, amazing that they're able to still be independent, get up when they want to, not be late for work. So it's a matter of just seeing them to be as independent as possible. And then we are an extension of what they need us for. If they need us to be there to, you know, translate medical appointments, because some of them, they report back that, you know, they love the privacy of going in to the medical appointments on their own, but they're like, listen, I don't understand what this doctor is telling me. I know, you know, I have this pain that I really, really want to work on. And, you know, is it possible if you could come into the appointment with me? So just seeing that they utilize us for specifically what they need. And it's not that, you know, we're coming in and just taking over their lives. We're just an extension of what their needs. You know, if it's medical appointments, going to the bank with them, making sure that their wage and entitlements are completed, taking them to the doctor's appointments, making sure that their house is, you know, clean. Some of them do need support, you know, doing that as well. And a lot of times we go into an apartment and it's all nice and clean. So we are doing a lot of recreation or, you know, medical support with them, but it's based off of specifically what the individual needs. So it's a really nice program. And I just saw the little text going across the room. Joe.
You have not missed a beat. I'm gonna unmute Joe. Hold on one second. Here we go. There you go. Joe, are you able to speak? Hold on. Joe, are you able to speak? I made you a presenter. So for some reason,
Joe needs to unmute himself to be able to speak.
he's communicated. For some reason, it's not unmuting.
Okay.
Well,
I'll keep going.
Okay.
You know, we went through this period of time with COVID being, you know, a time where it was, very hard to, go on to the grocery stores. There were different times that we could go, but just seeing how successful we were. And, I love the, Kate, where you came up with all the, you had examples of the technology that we were able to use. And we did have to tap into some of those technologies doing, through COVID. So it definitely shows us that, the IHS program is definitely space bar. But it's, it's definitely something that it doesn't matter where, what is going on in our lives. We can actually provide services, and knowing the fact that someone's going to be safe in their home and they don't have to worry of what's going to happen to them. And, so it was just a really nice experience, especially through COVID, knowing that we were able to use some of the assistive technologies to support the individuals.
Well, thank you very much. I know that Joe is here and he's trying to join, but is not able. I appreciate the range of examples that you gave. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next presenter. And Joe, I'm going to keep an eye on your microphone.
Hi.
And if you're able, are you there?
I am, yes. I just got to cut off this one speaker. So, Serena did a great job, so I don't have a lot to add. I think the one point I would make is we really try to provide what the individuals want and need and change it as their needs change and their wants change. So we have some individuals who are very, very connected and, with our agency in a lot of different ways and activities. We have other people that want particular supports, and that's their focus. And what we try to do is really just be what they're looking for at any given time, and then be with them sort of as that evolves. If they want different things and greater connections or less connections, we try to kind of go with their flow so that we support them in a way that always feels comfortable. And I would say the other thing we've experienced that has been, I think, more than a lot of agencies, is we've been doing a lot with aging people in IHS, and which brings some challenges. But I think between the community providers and our nursing staff who support us as part of the program, we've been able to really support people to stay in their apartments because that's what they want. They want to keep their independence, and we've gotten through some pretty serious health issues because of everybody kind of working together and including the person sort of doing what they need to do to adjust to whatever that health issue is. But I think the flexibility of how we support people is probably the most important thing.
I really appreciate that. And I can see that there are some hands up and there's some questions. We're going to continue to go through the presentations. We're going to hold the questions to the end to make sure that all presenters have the chance to present. But Joe and Azurenda, I hope you can remain on the call, and I can see that there are some questions for you. All right, next on our agenda, we have Vicki Meyer. Vicki, are you on the call? Now, Vicki's joining us from vacation with her son, Max, and so we're hoping that technology will work out for us. Vicki, are you on the call? Amy? Amy, can you hear me?
I don't see Vicki on. I don't see Vicki on, but I can certainly her and see if she can join us.
All right.
Had connection issues because she was in a low cell area.
Okay. then why don't we go to some of the questions that are out there? And we have Vicky who will be joining us, and then we have a video that I want to show, but we'll go to questions since there are some hands up, and then as soon as Vicky's able to join us, we'll move to her, and then we definitely want to share with you a video that we have from a parent who just supported her daughter to move into IHS. So Tanya, you have your hand up?
Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I do. Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Tanya Medvey. I'm from Ability Beyond. I'm a services director, and I oversee a pretty big caseload of individuals under the DDS IHS program and also the Acquired Brain Injury Waiver. And we've been proudly providing supported living type services. I had to double check with our CEO since the late 70s, early 80s. So we've been doing this for a very, very long time and really have a passion toward it. And we've certainly seen the IHS program sort of, grow and change as people's needs have changed. And it is really exciting to see that. And so less of a question and more of just a little bit more feedback for the group, and really to present or to compliment the presenters. I thought you guys did a fantastic job, really sort of describing exactly the flavor of the support. And I think Joe said it best in terms of, meeting people where they're at and really individualizing that support. And that is key. And so it is the right name for the service. And the services all do look a little bit different depending on what people's needs are. And that's exactly the way the program functions. So we have to be flexible to pivot as needs change. We also have a group of people who are, aging in place. We actually have also a married couple who have been with us since day one in the late 70s. They actually were met through Ability Beyond, and they're still together and still in our service line and doing really fantastically well. So really excited to see the opportunity for there to be this type of forum, because I think there's no such thing as a bad idea in IHS. I think exactly the type of networking and sharing resources is the way the program will continue to get stronger. And more people will become familiar with it, and more case managers will be really advocating for the service. So I really commend DDS for bringing us together and to hear a little bit about what's happening in the different agencies. So thank you so much for that. And thank you very much to the presenters. Appreciate being here.
Thank you, Tanya. And I will be reaching out, because as we hold these forums every month, we're really looking to highlight a wide range of people, a wide range of stories, a wide range of households and life experiences. And I think for those of you who participate in these forums month after month, you'll start to see some themes. You'll start to see that as Tanya said, the word individualized is really important, because there are no two support systems that are the same. Really, these supports are customized. And Joe, I appreciate the fact that you talked about people who may have some health concerns, and the fact that like we all navigate within our life, changing needs. The ability is there to adapt as needs change. Tanya, you mentioned supporting people over the years and throughout the life course, and a lot of what we're doing in the area of technology is designed to support independence optimally as needs change. And so for many people, that's been a key component. And I really appreciate you providing that feedback. I'm going to check in to see if Vicky has joined us, and if not, I'll share this video from Sabrina's mom. Is Vicky on? All right. I'm going to share my screen again.
This is Sabrina, my daughter. We tried to get her to live out on her own because she's been with me all her life. It's a huge step for her. Independent. I want her to be on her own. I'm not always going to be here. I think this is the best opportunity that Sabrina's going to get. She can call me through Alexa, which she did this weekend. If I ring the doorbell, she can answer from inside and see who it is. Also, she can open her door with the fog. If she's here and they do not detect motion, they can know if something is wrong. And also they have bed sensors. If she get out of bed in the middle of the night and she doesn't go back, they know that she's up and roaming. If she gets out of the tub, she fall, all she have to do is hit this alarm and they know that she fell. If she put the microwave on and walk away and she gone too long, the microwave will shut off. If she put the stove on and walk away, the stove will shut off. This is great for Sabrina. If I keep her home and something happened to me, she's gonna be in the system. I don't want her in the system. She could learn to be on her own. She could be independent. I'm just trying to get her set up for life.
I thought that was a really good example of how important it is for families to navigate and have input into whatever those individualized supports are that are put in place. And Sabrina's story is a really good example of customizing supports with technology, with the appropriate staffing supports. And in our December forum, we're going to talk about a little bit more about remote supports. I want to check in and see if Vicky has joined us. I think she's having connection issues. Amy, if
Elise,
you'd be
I
able
sent-
to, are you
You
here?
want me to share? Yeah,
Just
I
a
can
little
share
bit
Max.
about Vicky and Max's story, if you would be able to.
Sure. Did you want video or?
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I sent you the Max and Vicky's movie. If you wanted to run that.
I can. Let me do that.
Okay.
And then maybe you can field questions if Vicky's not able to join us. And if there are
Of course.
questions. So we wanted to talk a little bit about, within these forums, we talk a lot about the supports that are offered through our provider community. But another option that some families choose to utilize is self-direction. And so I'm going to share this video. Hold on. Let's hope technology works for me. Here we go. Oh,
Elisa, that's the building a great life. That's not Vicky's. Though it would be the email before that one.
okay.
Sorry about that. Just make sure you hit audio on before you share.
Can you hear?
You can't see it. You're not sharing at this point.
Vicki Meyer, and I'm Max's mom. Max was diagnosed with autism at age 2. And back in those days, not a lot of kids were on the spectrum. So it was rare and it was surprising to us. Max started school at age 3, and we quickly understood that it was going to be a long road. So when Max turned 15 or so, we started seeing a significant increase in behaviors, and we knew we needed help. It was no longer safe to be at home. We did have a lot of struggles trying to get assistance, trying to prove that we needed this assistance. We had a behavior specialist who was amazing that said, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. And so we started collecting data, and we had years of data. And finally, after me going as far up the food chain as I possibly could, someone heard us. And that's the one message I want parents to know. Someone will hear you. So it's been a slow process, but it's been a good process because every step of the way, Max has grown. He's changed. He's progressed so much. I never thought that we'd be here today. We all want what's best for our kids. And so someone heard. That led us to realization that Max couldn't live in our home anymore. And we got assistance from the department to have Max move into a residential facility. That gave us the break that we needed desperately, and it gave Max a secure place to be. So about after a year of group home living, we found out about person-centered planning that the department offers. Self-direction is an important part. The department wanted us, because Max is not that verbal, to be able to articulate what Max's hopes and dreams are. And through this program, through self-determination, Max was allowed to have what's important to Max, what's safe for Max, and what's a good educational and home experience for Max. I made the call to DDS again, and I was told that yes, he can move his money. I don't want anybody to be deterred by the fact that they think they might have to purchase property, okay? You can do this in an apartment, in a condo, whatever. It's Max's house. It could be his apartment, so whatever it is that works for your family. We have 24-hour staffing, a great team here that is working very hard with Max around behaviors, around his eating, around safety.
My name is Tori Adams. I've been working with Max for 13 years now. We've been at Max's house most of them. Sit.
This is a huge change from the Max that we took saw 5-7 years ago. And I'm so proud of her.
So that gives you an idea of how through self-direction, people have utilized individualized home supports. I'm sorry that Vicki wasn't able to join us in person. I know that she and Max are camping right now, and so she knew that technology might be a challenge, but you get an idea of the supports that they've been able to cultivate. And we really wanted to give a sense that IHS supports can work for a variety of people across a variety of places in their lives. We've talked about folks with, that are young, that have been supported for decades. people that are living independently, people that have roommates, people that have children, people that have significant others. Really, the I in individualized home supports is really key in terms of understanding the range of supports. There's a request in the chat if folks can get a copy of the link, and we can do that. I apologize if there was a choppiness in translation. And so we will share this, the recording of this meeting, as well as information in terms of a link to Max's video. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to questions. And we have our presenters that are here as well. Are there any questions on IHS supports? Tanya, is your hand up new, or is that is a new hand? Go ahead.
I did have a question related to IHS in terms of the potential for more people to have access to those supports. I know that for a very long period of time, there was no residential funding available to people. And I feel that that is so unfortunate and so limiting for people that may not have a huge need and may be able to continue to live with family, but would do so well independently, but were really unable to sort of exercise that opportunity because of lack of funding. Do we feel like there's the potential for there to be more opportunities for people to be able to get IHS support?
Thank you for that question. I think we're in a rare moment of opportunity with the ARPA funding that's available. We are looking at system transformation, and I think that will allow people who currently have supports to have more individualized supports. And as that happens, it should expand the opportunity for people who currently do not have supports. So I anticipate that we'll be providing more information in the near future. And one of the things that we're doing as part of the ARPA initiative is really looking at our continuum of IHS services. So back to the range, the variations that Cheryl and Patricia shared at the very beginning, to really strengthen that continuum of options. And as we have the forums each month, the goal is to share information, and this is evolving very, very quickly. It's a very, very exciting time to be part of DDS, part of the DDS community. And so I think you can anticipate that there will be more information coming out pretty consistently. We have work groups in the area of residential transformation and employment and day transformation that are happening right now. The question is, ARPA stands for, and American, Krista, are you on?
American Rescue
Plan Act. I always
I don't know if I can unmute. I'm unmuted.
rescue.
Yes, that's accurate. American Rescue Plan Act. So those are the funds provided from the federal government related to pandemic relief. But state agencies, Medicaid state agencies, were given some additional flexibility to expand home and community-based programs. So that is the funding that's being used to look at transforming the system. Thank you.
Thanks, Krista. I always go back between rescue and recovery. So yes, that's allowed resources to come into the system, and there are multiple groups now working on the various initiatives that'll relate to the ARPA funding. There's a whole initiative around assistive technology, so there's huge advances in that area, thanks to resources that have come to the state of Connecticut through the federal government. And as we have additional forums, and I want to share with you, oh, I see somebody else has their hand up before I share this with you. Beth?
Hi. I thought at the beginning that you said that the IHS does not provide 24/7 services, but then Max's mom said that he does have 24/7. Is that only if you're self-directed?
So IHS services are by definition not 24-hour services. Amy, you can answer a little bit about, Max has an individual budget, and so that through self-direction has allowed for some flexibility. And I don't
Sure,
know
yeah.
the technical combination of supports.
Right. So in Max's case, as Vicky had outlined, he was actually exercising portability from a community living arrangement. And so he, you know, his wish and desire was to, you know, have his own place, and the money that he was able to port through, you know, some creative hiring, and, you know, the wages that they were paying, were almost getting double the amount of services. You know, so with the self-hire option. So that's kind of how this came about. That's not going to be the case with everybody, obviously. But because it was an issue of portabilizing his money, he was indeed able to secure almost 24-hour supports. I mean, he does have some he has 24-hour supports, but they're not all paid. So I think that's important to note as well, because family does, you know, there are some natural supports built into his week. So I wanted to make that known. He does have to have the constant supervision, but those aren't all paid supports.
Okay. And my other question was, in order to get the in-home supports, you've got to have a certain lawn. And to get the lawn that will support those supports, is it a matter of collecting data and presenting that? How do you get the money to get the supports?
So in order to have IHS supports, you don't have to have a certain lawn. The number of hours of support that you have will relate to your lawn score, but there's not a particular threshold. For people that are interested, if you don't currently have residential funding, I think the first step is to speak with your case manager and let them know of the desire, the interest. And as I mentioned, things are evolving with the work that's going on around system transformation. That doesn't mean that you'll immediately be awarded funding, but I think it's important for your case manager to be aware that this is something that you're interested in, to make sure that they're submitting a request so that we're aware as a department that IHS supports are something that you're interested in. And as we move forward, as there are initiatives, as there is the ability to promote funding for IHS supports, that interest, interest will have the ability to pull the data in terms of who's expressed interest in IHS supports.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I see another. Are there any additional questions on IHS supports Are any questions for our presenters? Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan Lissacuse, and I live in Tolland with my 23-year-old daughter. And she is in a wheelchair. So, you know, my question, and she does have a DDS budget. We self-direct at the moment. And, you know, my husband and I have tried to be creative about her future. She wants to stay in our community. So we bought a house and we remodeled it to be completely handicapped accessible for at least one wheelchair, possibly two. There's a shared handicapped accessible bathroom and 2 bedrooms, and then an upstairs bedroom that, you know, could be for a caretaker, caregiver, an overnight staff, whatever. So our idea is that instead of her moving out, we're going to move out at some point and try to make sure she gets set up independently before, you know, we die. Nothing immediate, you know, we're living here right now, and we have my 97-year-old mother-in-law too, so we're not going anywhere too quick. But is that something that would fall into the IHS model, or would it be something else?
I think it might. I think it might be wise at this point to reach out and maybe have an assistive technology assessment, request an assistive technology assessment, because that's something that can be done in your home to prepare for that time. And that would be a really good first step as far as identifying what kind of supports might be put in place.
Great. Okay. We'll do. Thank you.
Thanks. Bill, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. How do you become aware of new cluster housing opportunities? And do you have to work with an agency to, you know, that may be involved with one of those to gain access to that for your child or your young adult?
So clustered IHS is when 2 or more people live in close proximity. And I've got to tell you, I have a major thunderstorm going on outside my window. And so just if you hear clatter, that's what it is. There are clustered IHS arrangements throughout the state already. We talked in the last forum about supportive housing. Supportive housing is clustered IHS in a development where there's that low income tax credit subsidy. But there are also people that just live in close proximity. There may be a couple people in a particular apartment complex. And so I think if you're already affiliated with an agency that provides clustered IHS services, you can certainly have that conversation. But if you're not aware of clustered IHS services in your area, reach out to your case manager, express interest, and they will have the ability to know what's already available in your area. If there's no current clustered IHS supports in your area, again, things are evolving very quickly. And so I anticipate we're going to see an increase in clustered IHS in this period of time. And Iserinda, you have your hand up.
Yes, and I was just going to say that as you know, as people, some individuals take out or they move, we do try to inform the case. So I would try to send the well, I know I do. I try to send, you know, I haven't, or I'm anticipating open down the road.
So you cut out a little bit, but what I think I heard you say is that if somebody reaches out to you and expresses interest, that you're also in coordination with DDS and the case manager to make them aware of the interest?
Yes, I'm sorry. I have the thunder outside.
You have the thunderstorm as well. Mother Nature is wreaking havoc on us.
Yes. No, I I try to be there's no once we do have an opening or anticipating an opening. So I would definitely say, you know, reach out to the case managers. I also try to send out emails to their supervisors as well to let them know that there's possibly maybe an opening down the line. But that's, you know, my area. The supports that I have is in like the Meriden one, Hartford area and the Valley area. So it all depends on where area, where you live at too as well. So I'm just, for RMS, that's what I normally do for the cluster program.
Thank you. So I see some hands are still up. I think they're all residual hands, unless somebody had an additional question. All right. I want to thank our presenters. I think our goal is to give, again, a range of options and success stories, life experiences, and please keep tuning in because you'll see more and more stories, more and more people featured. And each month we hope to highlight individuals that are out there living wonderful lives in the community. There's a question from Sarah. Is it possible to share the last video, supportive housing? Yes, if you go onto the DDS website, you'll see Fourth Tuesday forums on innovative options. If you click on that link, it's under, I think it's on the home page. You'll see the video from last month's forum on supportive housing. And we will post this month's video as soon as it's ready. So on that on the web page, you'll have a library of all the forums that we're holding, and that's a perfect segue. So I'm going to share with you. These are the forums that are planned, and we've planned the forums through the end of 2022. We've already started the calendar for 2023. It's the fourth Tuesday of the month, except for December, when that would have been, I think, the 27th. So we moved it up so that it wasn't smack dab in the middle of when many people are off for holidays. We have assistive technology next month. That's the September forum. In October, we'll be featuring community companion homes. We have individuals that are living in CCH settings, licensees and providers that'll be sharing their stories. In November, we're moving a little bit away from residential options, and we're going to talk a little bit about customized employment. This is really exciting way for people who are interested in employment but may need a little additional support. And so we'll be sharing some of those stories. And in December, we will be we'll be talking more about remote supports, and we've got some really exciting success stories to share in terms of people who are participating with remote supports. I'm going to look one more time to see if there are any more questions, and if not, we will end a little bit early. I don't see any additional hands up, so this is the last call for questions. And I appreciate Amy Blazowski also posted the link to the supportive housing forum in the chat. So if it's easier, you can just click on that link. All right, folks, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. We'll look forward to seeing you on September 27th at the Assistive Technology Forum. And for those of you who have success stories to share, please feel free to reach out. We really want to feature and highlight people from across the state, and we're looking forward to sharing some of those stories. Take care.